Welcome to World Code Updates, your daily briefing on everything happening around the world. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The silence on the plains is deafening. Tractors sit idle, grain silos overflow, and futures hang in the balance. In America's heartland, a storm is brewing, not of weather, but of policy. Canada, our closest ally, has just built a new kind of wall, a trade barrier. This legislation has sent shockwaves through 7 American states, leaving farmers and communities reeling. This isn't just about money, it's about a way of life suddenly at risk. Tonight, we take you to the front lines of this economic crisis: Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Illinois. These states feed America and the world, but now find themselves in the crosshairs of a trade dispute few saw coming. A new Canadian law has slammed the door on billions in American agricultural exports. The question, why? And what happens now? We've spoken to farmers who've weathered droughts and floods, but this feels different, personal, even like a betrayal. Their fields, once symbols of prosperity, now feel like liabilities. The crops are ready, but the market they've relied on for decades has vanished overnight. The fallout is a stark reminder of how interconnected and vulnerable our world is. The question is no longer if this will hurt, but how badly, and for how long. What is the Fair Trade Farming Act? On paper, it's about protecting Canadian farmers from unfair U.S. competition. Ottawa claims it's about leveling the playing field, but critics call it protectionism in disguise. The law slaps steep tariffs and tough inspection standards on U.S. corn, soybeans, dairy, pork, and wheat, the lifeblood of the Midwest. Passed with little warning, it blindsided American officials and instantly closed the border to key farm exports. Trucks are turned away, contracts canceled, chaos spreading. For American farmers, it's a broken promise, one signed in Ottawa, but felt most painfully in the anxious fields of the heartland. Nowhere is the pain sharper than in Iowa, the king of corn. For generations, Iowa's farmers planted, harvested, and shipped corn north to Canada. Now, Canadian tariffs have made Iowa corn too expensive, and the market has vanished overnight. David Miller, a third-generation farmer, sums it up. 300,000 bushels, nowhere to go. Decades of business, gone in an email. His story echoes across the state, a chorus of disbelief and anger. The economic impact is immediate. Corn prices plummet, equipment dealers and suppliers see sales dry up, and trucking companies idle their fleets. The domino effect threatens every part of the local economy. Iowa's budget, reliant on agriculture, faces a massive shortfall. The crisis is logistical, too. Silos are full, grain elevators at capacity, and some farmers pile corn on the ground, hoping it won't spoil. It's a desperate sight, mountains of food at risk of becoming worthless. For Iowa's farmers, fields of opportunity now feel like a trap. The Golden Empire is under siege, not by drought, but by a pen stroke in a foreign capital. The legacy of generations is suddenly at risk. The question, how do you recover when your market disappears overnight? For many, there's no easy answer. In Wisconsin, America's dairyland, the crisis takes a different but equally painful form. For years, Wisconsin's dairy farmers relied on Canada for ultra-filtered milk sales. The new law imposed quotas and tariffs, walling off the Canadian market overnight. Dairy co-ops called farmers with the news. Canadian buyers canceled, and the milk had nowhere to go. "We had to dump 8,000 gallons yesterday," says Sarah Schmidt, a dairy farmer. "It felt like pouring our future away." With a glut of milk, prices crashed. Many now earn less than it costs to produce. Family farms, some a century old, are pushed to the brink of bankruptcy. The ripple effect devastates rural communities. Cheese plants slow production, feed mills see orders canceled, and local businesses suffer. In a state where dairy supports nearly 400,000 jobs, this is an existential threat. The emotional toll is immense, watching a life's work go down the drain. For Wisconsin, the title America's Dairyland has never felt so fragile. The crisis is not just economic, but deeply personal. The future of family farming hangs in the balance. The economic freeze from Canada's law hits the upper Midwest with brutal force. Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota, powerhouses in wheat, soybeans, and pork, are all targeted by tariffs. For decades, cross-border trade was vital. Now, it's a trickle. Mark Peterson, a North Dakota wheat farmer, says, "It's closer to ship to Winnipeg than the Gulf. Now my grain sits in the bin, prices too low to cover fuel." Pork and soybean producers in Minnesota and South Dakota face surpluses and plummeting prices. "It feels like we're pawns in a game we can't control," says a Minnesota farmer. Border towns built on trade, Pembina, International Falls, see their economies unravel. Customs brokers, trucking depots, and fuel stations all suffer. The Northern Wall hasn't just blocked goods, it's severed economic lifelines. Communities feel isolated, abandoned, and uncertain about the future. The chill is more than economic, it's existential. Illinois, a titan of soybean production, feels the shockwave too. Canada wasn't its biggest buyer, but it was a stable one, especially for processed soybean meal. The sudden loss of that market disrupts an already volatile system. "It's like you're on the ropes and another opponent jumps in," says Maria Flores, a central Illinois farmer. With a massive harvest and falling prices, the entire plan collapses. The state's logistics, barges, storage, transport, rely on predictable demand. When Canada is cut off, bottlenecks and delays ripple through the system. The crisis affects not just farmers, but thousands in transportation and processing. For Illinois, it's a harsh lesson. Even the most reliable trade partners can disappear overnight. The crisis doesn't stay in the fields. It hits Main Street. When farmers stop earning, they stop spending. Equipment dealers, seed suppliers, and co-ops are the first to feel the pinch. The ripples spread. Diners see fewer customers, stores cut back, and layoffs begin. Local governments face budget shortfalls, schools and public services are strained. The fabric of rural life, festivals, football games, church potlucks, frays under the weight of anxiety. A single shuttered storefront signals decline, fueling a cycle of pessimism. The silence on Main Street is more than lost commerce. It's a community holding its breath. The question, can these towns survive the storm? This crisis is about more than economics. It's about the soul of rural America. Farming is an identity, a legacy of self-reliance and community. The trade dispute strikes at the heart of that promise. Trust in open markets and reliable partnerships is shattered. The emotional toll is staggering. Sleepless nights, family strain, and rising despair. The mental health crisis in rural America deepens. The model of scaling up and exporting is suddenly exposed as risky. The crisis forces a hard question. Is this system sustainable, or must we build something more resilient? The heartland is more than farmland. It's a vital part of the American story. The soul of rural America is on the line. We stand at a crossroads. The Fair Trade Farming Act is a Canadian law, but the crisis is now ours. It demands an American response, immediate, united, and forceful. Washington must engage Ottawa with resolve, making clear this action is unacceptable between allies. This is not partisan, it's about defending our farmers and our values. While diplomacy unfolds, immediate relief is essential: federal aid, loan guarantees, and support to find new markets. This isn't a handout, it's a lifeline for those who feed us. In the long term, we must rethink food security and build a more resilient agricultural system. The future of rural America depends on it. Farmers aren't asking for miracles, just a fair chance. We must listen, we must act. Our nation's character depends on it. The time for action is now.